What's up, everybody? It's the 84 Show live here on a Thursday, throwing it off a little bit here. Episode 179. It's draft night for the NFL.
On your dicks.
The draft has now just started. And
hold on to your dicks, everybody.
Hold on to your dicks. I really hope, really hope, because I give two fucks about these teams anyways, that, as always, Adam the Mallet to the left of me, of course. And special guest tonight, Kevin Bennett, will be joining us in about 10 minutes. So, but back to the draft real quick. I really hope Trevor Lawrence was making such a big deal how he did not want to play for the Jets. Like he was like, I won't go into the draft if the Jets have the first pick. Yeah.
Well, he didn't say that. He kind of hinted. He didn't flat out.
I mean, but he basically said he.
Yeah. He came as close to saying it as he wanted to. Yeah.
He pulled a Peyton where it's like I'm gonna go where I want to go, or his brother kind of thing. So,
no, Peyton was way worse. Peyton was fucking blunt.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I'm not going into the draft this year.
Yeah, his father was like, he's not fucking going.
But it would be funny if Jacksonville just picked someone else, and Trevor Lawrence just stayed there hanging out there with his dick out on the second pick, and the Jets pick him. He probably would demand a trade most likely, and it wouldn't be those situations, kind of like Eli did, and that's how fucking what's his face Rivers.
That kind of pisses me off. It's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah,
like you should be thankful, you know? Like, you're going to become a millionaire instantly because you're drafted so early with your signing. Like, a fucking millionaire instantly. And you're bitching because I don't want to go to that team. Fuck you.
These kids are overprivileged. We all know this. They're spoiled fucking brats. Remember in the old days, you were just happy to be drafted? Like, thank God. Good Lord, thank God I got drafted. I can, make $1 million now.
Instantly.
And now it's like, yeah. And now it's like, no, I'm gonna even where the hell did these players get power? They haven't even proven anything yet, and they're dictating everything. If I was an owner, I'd be like, why don't you go screw yourself? I'm picking you, and you're gonna play for me. And if you don't like it, then
Dude, are you kidding me? I'd be like, all right, if I was Trevor Lawrence, all right, I mean, a part of me is like, I'm young, I just married this hottie, I'm 21, right? But then there's a part of me that would be like, fuck, I haven't even thrown a fucking NFL pass yet.
Yeah.
What if I fuck up? Like, I would start getting into my own head.
He already got married?
Yeah, he just got married to a nice, she's a little hot piece of coos. Yeah.
That's stupid.
But she's been with him since high school, so.
Yeah, it's even stupider. That's like a Mahomes.
No, but it is stupid, but I can't call her a gold digger, really, because she's been with him for so long.
But they're not going to last because he's going to.
No, definitely not.
Dipping his pen in other inks. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
You get that touch of the million. You know what I mean? She could be the hottest piece of ass. Put it this way, I could show you the hottest girl in the world, and I'll show you a guy that's sick of
fucking her. Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. Poor guy.
You know who's the perfect model for sports and then getting married? Derek Jeter was perfect.
Yeah, he did the right thing. I love his gift baskets are sweet. You would send that off because you get all that banging. He played for 20 years. You got all that banging out of his system, right? And then he retires at 40, and he's just like,
married. Yep.
Because a guy like him could afford to have kids at 40. You know what I mean? He doesn't in impact condition, healthy. It's not like he has to go and work like ever again. You know what I mean? He never has to work again. So it's like
it's true. Yeah.
George Clooney did the same thing too, but he did it even further in age. He was in his late 50s when he finally got married and had kids. But you don't want to be too old. I mean, you want to still be able to play for your kids. You don't have to fucking be in a wheelchair when they graduate high school,
Yeah, I don't want to be watching a high school game with an oxygen mask on.
No, everyone's like, oh, is your grandfather there? They're like, no, it's fucking my dad. It's almost dead.
Catch the ball, Dad.
Yeah. You'd be like, you'd be at high school graduation. You sound like Biden last night, and it was like, oh, where am I? Who are you? What am I doing here? What? Someone, fucking A. That poor guy was late for him last night. He's probably slept in today, I would think.
I think he's probably in bed by now.
Oh, absolutely. The sun's not even down yet, and he's probably out cozied up. It is what it is. All right. Jacksonville's officially on the clock. Tonight on the show, like I said earlier, we have comedian Kevin Bennett. We'll be talking to him. I hope he likes football because I have a feeling we're going to be throwing this back to the draft every 15 minutes or so.
Yeah.
I'm very curious what the Patriots end up doing, where they end up if they pick up, if they can move up at all. it's kind of good they didn't make a play for Aaron Rodgers. That would have been a fucking waste because you're just replacing one old-time veteran quarterback for another old-time veteran quarterback.
That's true.
Maybe they'll get lucky and they draft a guy who no one really knows, maybe like 199th, and he'll sit in the bench, and then all of a sudden Cam will like get a leg injury, and then all of a sudden he'll come in, and then he'll win the Super Bowl that year. Has that ever happened before? Like where a guy gets drafted so late in the draft that he goes on and wins like, I don't know, like 7 Super Bowls? Is that ever? I don't remember that happening. Maybe it'll happen. Maybe
kind of like Brady.
Yeah. Oh, bro, he did that. Yeah, that's right. 199. So it could happen. 6th-round pick.
But it wasn't his rookie year, though.
No, I mean, he sat the bench for a year, But, it is ironic that the first game that Brady had ever played was during the the Hall of Fame game, which they play at Canton. And it was the year that Joe Montana was going into the Hall of Fame, and they played the Broncos at that stadium. That was the first time he ever took a professional snap. And it's ironic that he had broken Joe Montana's records, and he will be going to Canton in 5 years or so. Whatever. Was it 5 years after you retire? You can go into the.
Yeah, I think it's 5. Okay. Looking at Brady's combine photo with his shirt off, you've seen it, right?
No,
it's amazing he even got drafted.
Yeah. I mean, he was not. I mean, look at him now compared to that. I mean, he looked like he was like a stocky,
dad bod.
Yeah. But hey, listen, fucking good for him, man.
Yeah, it's true.
We'll never see that again, though.
No, never.
Just for the mere fact that players won't take pay cuts. You'll never see that. You know what I mean?
No,
so
you're right. I mean, maybe in like 20 years. He's like a once in every 20 years, 30 years kind of player. I'm sure we'll see somebody close to him at some point in life. But
I mean, because you had Montana, right?
Yeah.
And then before him, you had, say, Terry Bradshaw, right?
Yeah.
That was probably the one before Montana. Then you had, what's his face? The guy who was the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, Staubach. Brett Starr was Packers, but he would have been the guy before that. Yeah, he would have been like the 60s Packers, you know what I mean? So, I mean, you only get a guy like that every 10 years. I mean, I would even put Steve Young in that category because they only really won 2. And he had a team that he kind of inherited from Montana, so it wasn't like he kind of went off and did his own thing. It was a quarterback like that is a guy who comes in like Brady did or like any of those other guys I mentioned and had no team around him. And then all of a sudden, boom, magic,
No, it's true.
But it's funny.
Johnny Unitas.
Johnny Unitas, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's before the Super Bowl days. So, yeah, that's going back to, 50s football. But you got to remember, I wonder if when you think about it, what the fuck was the point I was going to make? About these quarterbacks coming in, old guys. I fucking lost my train. Oh, what team's going to be the next, decade of, dominance? Like, the Patriots pretty much took 2 decades, right? Because and the only competition the Patriots ever really had was Peyton Manning splashing in there occasionally to get in the way, But other than that, he had no really threat amongst them. And what's his threat now? Mahomes, maybe? Mahomes is his only really threat. Maybe one of these guys does very well. But look at the last few years of drafts. Mayfield was supposed to be just phenomenal guy, and he just turns out to be a good, decent quarterback. Or the guy.
He started coming on, though, towards the end of the season for the Browns. I would say the Browns are trending upward. For the first time in a long time, they are trending upward.
They made the playoffs. I mean, right? They made So they beat Pittsburgh a couple times. So, yeah, they're a serviceable team. And who's the guy from Burrows? Joe Burrows, the Cincinnati.
Yeah, the one who got injured. Yeah, Bengals. Yep.
Yeah, we'll see how he does in the second year. Because Mayfield did the same thing. His first year was kind of, then his second year, he was like, all right, we're putting it together. Do you know, is he still there at the stadium? Are they letting him, because is he still doing yard work? Because that must have been in his contract, right? He gets to live at the stadium.
That sounds like a great deal for me. And with the whole COVID thing, he's got a lot of space. Yeah. So he must be doing great.
Smoking hot wife. And they can.
But going back to, even rookie, Peyton Manning, his first year, he was atrocious.
Oh, yeah. 99, it's terrible, yeah.
Your first year as a rookie quarterback, people get all your first year, relax.
Yeah.
You got to give them a year or 2 before you see what you got,
What's the system too, right? So you got to get used to the whole idea. The pros are pretty, depending if you're coming from a good college, that's like an Alabama or a Florida or something like that, it's kind of already tuned into the NFL style of probably prepping and stuff. You probably make an easier transition than you do if you were coming from UMass, You know what I mean? It's probably a little bit of a harder transition. But
That's true.
and plus, Peyton grew up with football, so he already knew what NFL life was like because his dad was there for 100 years. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, was his dad even that good?
no, his dad was a serviceable average quarterback. Actually, for the Saints, I mean, they never won anything.
Yeah, I mean, I never hear anything about, like, when you talk about greats, I never hear anybody say, oh, Archie Manning was fucking phenomenal.
He was good. I mean, he was a serviceable quarterback, never won anything. I mean, those are the days where the Saints fans used to put paper bags over their heads when they went to games because they were so bad. And then, and like we said, like the brother, what's his face? Cooper was supposed to be the good one. He was supposed to be the better than Peyton and Eli. And then he had a back injury and couldn't play anymore. But apparently, but we were talking about Cooper's son is supposed to be like the next like hot shit. He's like a sophomore in high school or something like that right now. And
yeah, he's in high school, and like ESPN like 3 has televised some of his games already. So talk about already pumping the fucking, you know.
Well, it's like LeBron when he was like in high school. They stopped putting you on the pedal. They put your value up a lot higher than it really is. You know, like Alonzo Ball, right? He was not a second overall draft pick. I'm sorry, he's a average basketball player. You know what I mean? First round, maybe.
His younger brother doing great though.
Younger brother's supposed to be doing good. The younger brother went to private. He went to some private school for high school, and then he went overseas to Europe, and he was playing in like the European basketball league for like 2 years, and just starting to get his like, which was actually probably a better move because it's closest to the NBA than it is playing in college. You know, for that matter, or high school. But they don't really. You haven't seen the father very lately on that guy. I remember he was all over the place trying to pump him up and stuff, and.
Dude, I thought they were going to go Menendez on him. Like, I thought his kids were going to revolt with all the pressure he puts on them and fucking kill him. I really did.
It's crazy.
The guy's a dick.
Speaking of dicks, we should bring in our guest. I'm kidding, of course. We don't know if he's a dick. He's probably a really nice guy. I wonder if he's going to bring the accent. He does an accent. We're not going to tell you. We're not going to tell you what the accent is, but we're gonna maybe you.
Not my favorite kind of people.
No.
The only people I'm prejudiced against, really.
There he is. There he is. Up the bed. He's a cartoon image tonight.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Ken. How are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing good. Hold on. I'm gonna try and get my picture in here. How do I? I'm old.
It's like
there we go. I found it.
Hey, there he is. What's going on, man?
Hanging out, being groovy. How y'all doing?
Oh, you know, awesome. Living the life. Kevin Bennett, everyone. Where are you joining us from tonight?
Wyoming.
Oh wow, really?
You're from Wyoming,
yeah,
right?
Man. Yeah, that's where I started life.
Yeah.
I started living here, you know, breathing, exhaling, inhaling. And then I went to Colorado for about 8 years, and then I went to the West Coast in an RV for about 4.
Oh, beautiful! So now you're back.
Not France.
Hanging out.
Not France.
Yeah. He was. Adam was very nervous that you were a Frenchman, and he and the French don't get along.
Oh, no. My French accent is not – I don't think a lot of – French people like that I'm including them, but what I'm representing them as, they don't like that so much. But I met French comics that they're like, no, it's funny. It's funny. So it's not hurting their feelings.
Yeah.
I think it's great because the French are the one group of people that I am admittedly biased against the French. So I think it's hilarious. Like that.
It's hard not to be. They kind of set themselves up for it. They were like the original like hipsters.
No, they're just very, in my experience, and I'm not just talking like I mean I've traveled to a lot of places just like around the world, and anybody I've run into from France that is from there is 100% French are just usually very pretentious, and it's definitely a cultural thing, but like it really rubs me the wrong fucking way. Like,
even the nice ones are like, hey, listen, I'm condescending to you. It's all right. You're just so backwards. I cannot help it but to like you. You know, that sort of thing. It's like, dude, all right. That's why I got to make fun of them.
Yo, you have to. I was in Paris. I was on an elevator at the Eiffel Tower going up with a bunch of people, and I'm talking in English to my group I'm with, and these 2 French guys behind us tap me on the shoulder. They go, shh.
Oh my gosh.
Sounds right.
They don't want
Sounds about right.
And you know what?
Wow.
And the fucking French Canadians, they're not any better because the Montreal people fucking and those are your people, Adam. You're the French.
Those are my people.
Those are your people. You know, hot though. I love a French Canadians girl. It's definitely okay.
Oh yeah, There's some pretty ladies for sure. You know, they almost make them hairy armpits sexy. It's like, well, we can eat the snail and it's delicious. Look at this and get a bone out.
We groom.
You can find a deaf one. A deaf one's the perfect one because then they don't talk. So they're just like, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but when they do talk, they've got like a deaf French accent. So they're like, chocolate bleu!
Just screaming at you. It was very angry. They're like the French. They're like the chef in the Muppets. You know, just throwing.
We've gotten into Bjork territory.
Yeah, Bjork. Yeah,
Bjork is Iceland.
Yeah, Iceland. Yeah, well, yes, but the Fury guy is probably not Icelandic, is it? My bad. I was thinking of a funny Bjork crossover where Bjork does New York, but she does it nude Bjork. And then we get a music video that we wish we did not get. She'd be like, nude Bjork. All her weird, sexy, robotic shit. I miss Bjork, man. New generation don't even know what they're missing. They're like, oh, Lady Gaga. No. Bjork, if she wore a meat dress, that was because she thought it'd be a good idea to do in public, not a fashion statement. Like, I cut these meat out while I was hunting.
She wore the swan dress, remember? It was like a fake swan around her neck. Remember that shit? I don't know.
Yeah. Bjork was intense, man. She was like not metal. It was weird. She was a weird. I wonder what she's doing these days. Probably being old and Bjorky.
I'm gonna look that up. That is worth a search right now. Let's see.
She's a talented gal. I'm not ragging on her. It's just weird as hell. You listen to some of the music and you're like, I kind of like this, but I kind of don't.
It fit the time, you know what I mean? Like it was like perfect where it's like where if you played it these days, it'd just kind of be a little out of place. You know, people would be looking at it like.
Yeah, well, we got a bunch of copy Bjorks.
Yes.
She's a weird cat.
Are you a football fan of the NFL at all?
No. I played hockey for about 6 years, high school and college together. And college was just a men's league. It wasn't really and it wasn't even a checking league. It was stupid. But high school, I played hockey, and college, and I never followed that either. The closest, I've never really followed any sports. I mean, I can watch them and have fun in a game, but it's just never been anything I've followed.
So if you didn't know, tonight's the draft for the NFL. Well, at least
okay.
So we might be popping in occasionally.
Fair enough. Is everybody wearing masks, or did they quit doing that?
I think they're doing it remotely, like they did last year. I think they're going to the house, from what I understand. But speaking of masks, so being in Wyoming, that's pretty wide open. You guys probably didn't shut down at all, huh? It's pretty much like
for a few weeks at the very beginning, people didn't know what to do, and then everybody's like, "Oh, wait a minute, this is bullshit," and nobody does anything now. There's like one bank that held out and required people to wear masks until like 2 weeks ago, but like right now, the masks are not liked. They're not liked. Neither are the shots. Nobody's masking. Nobody's vaccinating.
Yeah.
Very few people. In fact, I don't see any sick people.
Yeah. I mean, it's worked itself out of the system, I guess. I mean, it's when you have a low populated state like Wyoming, it's really tough to, everyone on top of each other. One time twice I've been to Wyoming, and just driving through, there is miles and miles apart from human beings. It is nice.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to see anything,
It's like 3 people or 6 people per square mile on average for the whole state. Yeah, it's. But I mean, there's like a city.
Yeah, you get Cheyenne and stuff, right? Everyone's like kind of
Cheyenne and Casper are almost cities.
Yeah.
And Rock Springs tried, but it didn't get enough meth in the pipe, so they're just kind of treading water. And I'm from Gillette. I used to say it's definitely not the best a man can get, but now, and this is a true story, within about 300 miles of this city is probably the best place to be in the United States right now. I mean, in terms of freedom. I mean, South Dakota, North Dakota, parts of Nebraska, Kansas, Idaho, and Montana. A lot of these spots, people are just, no, we're not doing this mask stuff. We're not doing that. Colorado's a little different. Colorado's it's like being on a chessboard. Because like some places they look at you like you just drop kicked a baby if you don't have a mask. And other places they're like, oh, thank goodness he's awake.
Exactly.
But it's real hit or miss in Colorado. So you got to be, it's a very, I actually went all the way out to DC in January.
Oh, wow.
And I did a rental car, so I wouldn't have to mask up on a plane.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You part of a
I didn't wear
protest?
it. Well, yeah, I don't wear them.
Yeah.
The only time I've worn it like a half a dozen times, and it like you go to the dentist, you have to. I had to wear it then, and then I gave in and wore it a couple times in restaurants with some comedy friends of mine in July, August, when everybody was still kind of. But that was about like I'd say it's less than 10 times since it started. I've worn one,
Oh, you're
and
lucky,
I'm
man.
ashamed of that.
Yeah, that's lucky for you. We're up in Boston. It's like everywhere you go. And Adam and I don't. Technically, we had a law, or I should say, a mandate that said you were supposed to wear one when you went outside. So even if you went outside to take your trash out, you're supposed to have a mask on. No one enforced it, right? So they finally they're lifting it tomorrow, so you don't have to wear it outside. Ooh, we could have told you that 7-8 months ago.
Well, legally there is, and I bring this up. A lot of people have to wear them. I was talking to my good buddy Alex yesterday. He's got a couple kids, right? And he's got a job, and he's got to provide for those kids.
Oh yeah.
As much as he'd like to make the political statement, he can't.
Yep.
And I've got a couple of friends who are like that, and I understand where they're coming from. So what I'm about to say, by no means, I mean, there's people who are stuck. They really are stuck.
Oh yeah.
But it is definitely worth challenging and something we should do because legally we have a right to. I mean, put it this way. You have a right to privacy. Now, I can say I have a condition of health, and it doesn't matter if that's asthma or if it's anxiety. I have a right to privacy, and HIPAA says I don't have to disclose what that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, federally, legally, no government, no job, no department store. Federally, it's illegal for them to discriminate against someone on a basis of a health condition. So you have a right to privacy. It doesn't matter what your health condition is, and they can't discriminate against you. And the thing is, that's legal. All they can do is intimidate you at that point. And I went all the way to D.C., and I went down through Alabama and Chattanooga, Tennessee, in a rental car, in hotels that I booked online, and I didn't wear the mask when I checked in.
Yep.
I only got challenged. And even in D.C., I didn't get – one time they challenged me, but I just ignored it, and they checked me out of the 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
But in Birmingham, Alabama, I went to a laundromat. And big old Southern mama, she said, "You get the hell out of my stove!" Yeah. I said, "I'll get the hell out of your stove." So I got the hell out of the store.
Get the stick poking at you.
But she was not happy. That was the only time. I just went to the laundromat like a block away, and nobody hassled me. So the truth is, people are kind of awake to this stuff.
Yeah.
And the reason we need to stand is because the masks were just opening the door for Excelsior in New York, where you have to have a vaccine passport. Even though, if you want to get it, fine, go ahead. But nobody should force you into that.
That's how I feel.
However, they're doing that now. Like you have, if you want to work, if you want to play at these comedy clubs and stuff in LA, they're talking about you have to have a vaccine passport at the comedy store.
I feel like it's not a HEPA violation because
absolutely. Like we were just saying.
Yeah. I mean, how could they do that? I mean, what's going to happen is you're going to have people that are going to do that, right? But then you're going to have other people that aren't. So people are just going to use these people. People are going to go to those restaurants. People are going to go to those stores. You know what I mean? Because figure you get woke Target and you get Walmart, right? Target might make you, but Walmart's definitely not making because the majority of the business comes from the South. And who's down the South?
We had a guy out here I don't know if it was in Gillette, but somewhere in this state, somebody went to the Walmart and they tried to make him wear a mask, and he was carrying, and they didn't make him wear a mask. And he didn't shoot anybody. He just made sure they knew that he wasn't going to wear one. And the managers at Walmart said, you know what? These minimum wage workers shouldn't be putting their lives on the line to greet people at the door. We're not going to enforce it. And they haven't in the whole state. And
that's what's going to happen. And he's going to has to start somewhere. Otherwise, I was down in I drove down to Florida a couple of weeks ago, and once I hit the southern states, once I hit South Carolina, it was like an optional type thing, right? So we'd go, we walked into you ever go to a Buc-ee's? You ever see a Buc-ee's? They're like these big truck stop areas. They're big in Texas, but they make the South, right? And no one had masks on. And this place is huge. This place is probably the size of a Walmart. And I'm looking around. Me and my wife have the masks on because we're just so used to the rigmarole that we've been put through for the last year. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, it's actually kind of cool. You got to take it off. It's like going to a nude beach. You know what I mean? You got to expose yourself. So, but I hate it. I have to wear it when I work at the bar. But in the office, I don't got to wear it. But it's like you said, you need to wear it, otherwise you can't work, right? It's
Well,
stupid.
outside of work, I would challenge you to do this because I tell you what, people are inspired when you're not wearing that thing, and it inspires them to do the same thing. And we need to, because the way this works, what we're in the middle of right now. I was out in LA when it hit. You know, I was living in that RV, and thank God I had the RV. One of the reasons I got it, it's like 3 or 4 reasons. I had a cat. I didn't want to give up the cat. Also, I was getting paranoid because the internet, and there's a lot of stuff that makes sense on there, you know.
Yep.
I was like, you know, if things really get bad, like all these people are saying, I want to be able to bug out if I got to. You know? And I was able to travel better in LA in an RV because I just go to the place I wanted to the night before, and I saved money as well. Awesome. So all these things come together. And I tell you, man, I was glad I was able to use that and get back with some family in Wyoming, because if I'd have been out there in an apartment, I'd still be stuck out there. I mean, the money you put in those things, you're putting like $1,500 a month. You're not just gonna up and leave. You're gonna ride it through to the end. And they're screwed out there for the most part. I mean, Comedy Store's supposed to open up in the next couple of days, and they've got these vaccine requirements and all this.
Crazy. But the RV is a great idea. I mean, especially I'm assuming you were in a position where you didn't have to be at a certain place at a certain time anytime, so you could just, the freedom of just bouncing around was probably convenient. And especially in this situation, it makes perfectly good sense. When shit went down, and as it did in California, and they went completely shut down, you could just say, peace out, I'm gonna go in the middle of the desert somewhere and camp out for a couple of days to go way home.
And it was a godsend, because I was in the 24. Here's what I was doing: is I do the 24-hour fitness so that I could shower without having to rely on the 20-gallon tank in my 21-foot RV.
Yep.
Yeah, and the thing is, you can get a week worth of wet lather, and it sucks, and it steams up the RV, and it doesn't drain quite right. It sucks.
Yep.
So I was doing the 24, and I just got out of the shower, and it kicked everybody out because of the COVID. Like, so. What I do, I've been blessed. I write, I make money at comedy, not as much as I need to.
Yep.
What I write is clickbait, basically. It's essentially it's content writing.
Yep.
And so I just have to do a certain amount a day. I usually go to a Starbucks. Not a Starbucks, a coffee shop. There was a place called T-Pop LA in NoHo, my favorite spot in the area. They were closed down. So I drove all the way out to Riverside, and they hadn't closed down there yet, because Riverside's not quite LA. They're not quite in the loop of all that. And I was like, okay, I'll just wait this thing out in Riverside. And then they closed down the next day.
Wow.
And then, I don't know if you remember, but the talk was in March last year that they were going to shut down passage between states.
Yes, I heard that. And they tried to do it up in here, and they did.
Oh, wow.
So Rhode Island was pulling people over with foreign plates coming through Rhode Island. And they were immediately stopped because it's illegal to stop transportation between states in the United States. It is done.
Yeah.
They can't enforce that at all. And I talked to people like in the fall that they were driving up from like New Jersey to go up to Massachusetts, and they wanted to make sure they had to get a test and stuff. I go, they can't stop you. They can't just pull you over because you have to be doing something illegally for them to pull you over. And then they can't say you're not supposed to be here. You know, you could tell them, I'll follow the suggested quarantine. Yeah, I'll quarantine for 6 days, whatever the fuck you need me to do. Or 14 days at that point it was, right? 2 weeks. But I live right in the New Hampshire border. I went to New Hampshire every single day. I'm in Permian, New Hampshire 5 times a week. And it's literally 5 minutes to 10 minutes from my house. Technically, every time I went to New Hampshire and I came back to Massachusetts, I was supposed to quarantine for 14 days. That is insane. Makes no sense at all.
Yeah. Well, here the thing is, I was scared I'd be stuck in California, and they really did shit the bed out there.
Yeah.
California's fucked.
Oh, it's like a hooker when the Navy come in, man. I mean, they're prolapsed. It's rough.
I mean, they really screw themselves, because I mean, you have a state that is so dependent on entertainment, and they shut everything down and just screwed it completely up. Yeah.
Oh, look at the Oscars. Less than 10 million views.
Yeah.
I don't even want to talk about it. I just get annoyed.
Well, because I think people at this point are starting to catch on. Like, we don't really give a fuck with these celebrities and their high life thing. Because, yes, they closed entertainment time. They closed comedy clubs so you can perform. But they were still filming in Hollywood. So it's one of those things. Or, the governor out there was a really nice guy, too, who's now going to get taken probably over by a Kardashian, which is even weirder. So.
Oh my gosh. And that Kardashian is an alien, like right out of the Men in Black. You notice they call them the Kardashians. There's a Kardashian cruiser. That's why. Because those Kardashians are not human. What in the world is going on with that? Yeah, man, oops. It's nuts out there. they're getting away with as much as they can with this whole crisis, and that's one of the reasons I'm standing against it, because they're going to keep pushing. They're like a kid who keeps pushing until daddy finally dope slaps him and says, "Put that poker down and put that cat down. That's not even our cat. This isn't even our fire." You know.
Oh, it's a true story, and they're Massachusetts doing this. Massachusetts was up there with the biggest idiots of them all. New York, of course, Michigan, New Jersey, but like the thing with Massachusetts is we have a Republican governor who's really not a Republican, but he just
he's got a rhino thing going on. Huh? We got that in Wyoming.
Do you really? Yeah. So it's like
Mark Gordon. He's a little midget rhino. He's a mini me. Anyway,
it's the same thing. It's like he was pushing, but like he didn't push too hard. Like we were in the middle. I guess we could have had a lot worse. But I look back on it now, and I was bitching about it since day one when shit was getting shut down and everything like that. But we could have been California. We could have been, Michigan. We could have been New York. But we also could have been Texas or Florida too. And they seem to be fucking figuring out. South Dakota. They're figuring it out. But it's just
they're doing fine too. People aren't. What's crazy? There's a graph. Florida's got almost exactly half the population of California, but proportionally, there's a graph that shows the fatalities and infection rate of COVID-19 in Florida as opposed to California, and it's the same.
Yeah, it really is.
And Florida's like, no, we listen. We do down here in Florida, we get drunk and we fuck alligators. All right, we're not gonna wear no dang mask. What are you talking about? That's crazy. We're not gonna do that, and they're fine. And California's like, no, this is a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah,
and same rate.
It was funny when I was down there. My grandmother's 90 years old. She lives down there. And when I visited her, she just got her second shot. So she was all ready to go. But she lives in an environment on a golf course in which has 65 plus that live there. So they're all older people. And they all kind of freaked out a little bit when they went down. And they never left their complex. So they were kind of like in their own little community. And, people were getting their food delivered and stuff like this. But like once they started getting the shots and they started getting the ability to go back out, I was walking through the country club and there was about 60 old people in there living their best lives. No mask, just bumping around, drinking, having a fucking time of their life. And that's the way you should be doing it. Because why waste your life away? These people that have shut off for the world for the last year and haven't done anything, I feel bad for them. It's going to be some kind of mental illness to them to be able to do that and not lose their friggin' mind. It's
yeah,
it's absolutely crazy. My wife and I pretty much we didn't really shut anything down. At first we were a little freaked out, but once we started figuring it out, most people did with common sense, be like, all right, maybe it's not, maybe they're overblowing it, you know what I mean? But
yeah. So well, we're dealing with something. It's a classic playbook. I mean, there's a guy named Yuri Bezmenov. He does a video called "Deception Was My Job." He's ex-KGB, and he also does a seminar on ideological subversion. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes. That is it's a whole college course that it lets the cat out of the bag what's going on right now. What we're dealing with is the fruits of ideological subversion designed to collapse Western capitalism, and it's playbook, play by play. You listen to this guy. Literally, 1984, he did the interview. Ironic as that is.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did though. It's with G. Edward Griffin. It's about 80 minutes. Deception Was My Job. Yuri Bezmenov, and he breaks down what we've seen in society, our millennial generation for the past 20 years. He breaks it down like he's looking at it. The man died in the early 90s.
Okay. And
he was probably assassinated. His real name was Thomas Schumann. Or not, that wasn't his real name. That was the name he was known by in Canada.
Okay.
That way. After he defected. But very interesting stuff. Basically what he talks about, moral relativism is conjoined with an increasingly controlled educational entertainment atmosphere. We're talking propaganda and narratives over facts and critical thought. The plan is designed for a minimum of 18 years because that's how long it takes for a generation to go from 0 to 18. Okay. And the idea is to use public institutions to sort of breadcrumb them along toward the ideology they want, which is no ideology, one that accepts the trends of the day. And then they control the trends. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're seeing, basically. Basically, they got us in a morally relativistic state of mind that was easy to program with media and film and music and all this stuff. And then they got their people doing all this stuff. So essentially, with increased substance abuse. Don't get me wrong. I like a little weed. I like a little drinking. I'm not against it. I'm into it. Yeah. It's fine. But in moderation, they get people who build their whole life and identity around that sort of thing, and then all of a sudden it's impossible. You got a family going on. That's very important. Family is it's the strongest economic unit. It's like a honeycomb. You know how there's all those little honeycombs, and the society is built of them. The Rothschilds, before they became a corrupt conglomeration of underhanded backstab and banksters, were a nuclear family that expanded. When you can destroy those honeycombs, the hive collapses. What they're doing is they're systematically, through things like Vice, through people just thinking that you can just go bang any slap happy bar fly you run into and get drunk enough and think you're going to be happy. No, you're going to have VD and you're going to feel ashamed. Yeah. And we were all in our 20s. We've been there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, they get everybody in society doing that. Eventually, you're hooked on the substance. You're working a 9-to-5 minimum wage job at a gas station you can't get out of. You have a car that you're in debt to. You got a college degree that didn't take you anywhere, but propagandized your brain you're in debt to. You got a phone bill, a mortgage. You can't do anything. Oh, you better wear that mask and take that shot.
Yeah.
Put anything they want in there.
Okay. Now we can talk this all day, but I want to talk about entertainment. I do want to talk some entertainment here because Kevin, I did watch your audition, your spot, your America's Got Talent spot.
Rocking! Thank you.
I watched it and I was curious. Was that as like I would be almost fucking puking because it's just that much attention and people around me, and it just seems so awkward to be in that situation. And I have to kind of applaud you, because I think the accordion, I'm not even being sarcastic, I think the accordion is one of those instruments that's so difficult to work, but it's unfortunate that it's also so dorky, but it's it takes a lot of skill. There's all these fucking buttons on the damn.
Very complicated instrument, yeah. The valves.
So it's a quite admirable thing to be able to play. It's just what is it like being up there in front of all that?
Well, so I got a BA in theater. I came to my senses before I ended up trying to be an actor and ending up in porn. That's what happens to people from Kansas. That's for real though. They're stuck in Van Nuys doing. Never mind. Yeah. But I disabused myself of that and started doing stand-up. And with stand-up, you bomb a lot, even if you're good.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle did that show in Philadelphia, and remember when he went to do his new stuff. They didn't want to hear it. They kept yelling for his old stuff, and so he couldn't get him. He couldn't get him back. So he just did his minimum 20 and left. And he was pissed at him. And this was right before he went off out of the country to go find
Africa.
Yeah. So even at the AAA list, the best comedians in the world bomb. So when you bomb regularly, it becomes a percentage game. Some other big comic, I can't remember his name, said that how you tell a professional good comic is when they're bombing, they don't make it uncomfortable for the audience. That's dismal.
Yeah.
That is, but it's true because what happens is when you start out, it's 50-50. Then you do it a few years, and 25% of the sets are bad, and 75% are good. Then you do it 10 years, and 5% of the sets are bad, and 95% are good.
Mm-hmm.
And that eventually the A-listers, they'll have 1 out of 100 sets go bad. They've been through it so much, they know, this is one of these sets. Well, I can play with this table over here.
Yeah.
So if you biff it so often and so regularly that you get a little bit unflappable in certain respects. You do, because who cares? You're
sure, but I'm sure the size of that, though, the amount of people that are there is bigger than a club, and it's and it's on television. I'd be losing my fucking mind.
Well, so I was there from about 10 a.m. in the morning, and I was the last live audition in front of the judges of 2018, the dead last, and it was near midnight when I got on.
Oh, wow.
And I had a slight head cold. And I knew what's his name, the one who liked me. Now I'm blanking.
Howie Mandel?
Yeah, Howie Mandel. I love Howie.
Yeah.
I knew he did not like if I sneezed or coughed, there goes my only ally.
Germaphobe.
He's
Yeah.
like, that was funny.
Yeah.
Living in a bubble.
Yeah, and he liked me. Yeah, I was scared. So basically, I was
There was
afraid
that
of that.
chick who like did not hesitate to hit that buzzer. The black chick. She's
oh.
like, nope.
that was Mel, or what's her, Mel B from
The
Spice
Spice
Girls.
Girls? Yeah.
Yeah, she did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, they cut some stuff up there too. Originally, I told a joke, and Heidi headbanged the buzzer because it was such a bad joke in her estimation, and they cut that out and used that take on another audition, which I was so sad about because I wanted to be memed for that. I wanted that to be a meme of me, Heidi just headbanging. She did, and the joke was, in my ideal universe, when pop singer Adele gets married, her father will whisper into the groom's ear, "Dude, you're getting Adele." And it's stupid, but it's funny.
It's not bad.
She headbanged the buzzer, and they cut it out. Anyway, I was scared of Howie Mandel seeing me sneeze or something.
Yeah.
And that from about 10 a.m. till about 3 or 4 p.m. was the only thing I was really worried about. And then I was kind of sick and I was tired. So I was in a bit of a fugue. And they had a comedian go up right before me, and she did pretty well with the judges. And that's like, you don't want to eat the same dish twice. You want to try something new.
Yep.
So they already had that. So I kind of deflated me. So right before I got up there, and it was the biggest crowd I've ever been in front of. There were 1,800 people in the Pasadena Convention Center, and it was packed. And prior to that, they pay audiences at certain shows in Hollywood. So I don't know if that went on, but it might have, just full disclosure. But I was kind of tired at that point, and they put a lady comic up before me who ticked all the ideological boxes. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to go until they kick me off this stage. It's basically what my thought was.
Yeah.
So I went, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't expect to get the buzzer on my first joke. Here's what actually happened, because with a reality show, they've got a 5-minute slot they have to fill between advertisements. So what they kind of do is sort of retell what happened. They make a little beginning, middle, and end out of it, like a little mini plot arc. But they'll stitch it together. They'll take something from here and put it there, and take something from here and put it over there. And they have to kind of do that, but at the same time, it allows them to sort of write it a little bit. So what you saw on that audition wasn't the full thing. I was actually there for about 10 minutes. I hobnobbed back and forth with everybody for 2 or 3 minutes, and I got the crowd on my side in that time. And then they had me start my set, and I got the buzzer right off the bat, and so I just kept playing with it. But then they had me do jokes in the set, which weren't my jokes. It was just like me talking to you guys now. I just said something off the cuff.
Yeah.
And they put that in as though I had intended to do that, which I didn't. And then they cut out, "Dude, you're getting Adele." And I did one where I did an impression of the perfect impression of Ray Romano is Kermit the Frog doing his impression of Christopher Walken. They didn't put it in. I was in Vietnam with a watch. They didn't put that.
That's funny too.
Yeah, they the thing is, I might have gotten in trouble because I didn't do all the approved jokes they wanted, because I didn't know they were going to cut it up like that. I should have. But at the same time, I was there to make the audience laugh, and I knew that some of the jokes that the producers had chosen for me weren't going to do the trick. I see. Because they wanted me to do them in an order and everything. Really? And and the thing is, you can't. That's like telling telling Tarantino or something he has to have a linear. The way certain information comes to you or is presented determines how the audience reacts to a certain degree. Exactly. And there's no way to really, unless you're a comic, you can't teach that. So I'll hold it against producers.
Yeah, and you work, and you want to work the crowd. So if something's working, you're going to continue on that path. If it's not working, you're going to go and take a left and try something else. It's like So by the time I got up there, I was kind of tired, and I had already thought, you know what? I'm just going to go. Might as well.
I'm kicked off. And those buzzers were very loud, though. They were, they're loud enough to fill an 1,800-person auditorium to the back row. Jesus. And I didn't expect them to be that loud.
They'll throw you off.
Dubbed in, huh?
Yeah.
Dubbed in.
Yeah. So that was that was the most nerve-wracking thing for me. For a comedian especially, because of the bonding element of it, when you have a big crowd, you're not so much concerned that you have a big crowd. You're concerned they're on your side.
Yeah, that's true.
So for me, I'd rather have a huge crowd than like 20 or 30 people. I can do great with a crowd of one. I've had to do it, and it's fun. I've done a show to an empty audience. I killed myself, suicide. This is all in my brain. It's like Jacob's Ladder. But for me, I'd much rather have at least 20 people. Once we're at 35, 40, it's going to be a pretty good show no matter what happens because of the statistics of it. There's enough people to laugh here, and then it's contagious. 100 people, oh, excellent. 1,800, I just hope that I don't step on my own jokes when they start laughing.
That's it. The big stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. They'll screw your rhythm up because the laugh breaks. Because now you have to like really stretch it out, which you don't have that. You know, when you're doing, 5 people, you really don't have that benefit. You're like kind of just plowing through it sometimes, right? Yeah. So that's interesting. Wow, 1,800 people. I can't even imagine. Plus all the people that watched. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Actually, the amount of people that watched that in total since 2018 across all platforms is more than saw the Oscars on Sunday. Wow. It's right in the 10 million range.
Isn't that great?
So, yeah, it's like, because I got one video with 7.5 million views, and there's a couple million on social media like Facebook and Twitter. Yep. And then there's like another almost million on YouTube with other videos. And then there's the actual show, when people were watching live. So that makes me kind of happy.
So when you posted this stuff, did they give you any problems like posting any of that video? Because it's technically copyrighted after a point, right? Because you're doing it.
I can't make any money on it. I haven't got it posted. Yeah, I haven't got it posted on my YouTube.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. The America's Got Talent thing.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, there's other YouTubers that have posted it. They got away with it one way or another, but I haven't. I'd like to. I should be able to. I think, but
yeah.
So no, I use it basically for audition videos, and
cool,
it's like a credibility badge. Like, hey, listen, I was actually on. I was on something once.
Yep. Do you think you'd do it again if you the opportunity came across and then another?
If they asked me, I would. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was a good experience. It was different than I thought. I learned a lot. Exposure was great on it, and I worked with very nice people. I love the casting director gal; she's a sweetheart. And the crew, and I knew a few people. I had a good time. Reality shows in general aren't my favorite thing, but I enjoyed that, and I've been on a half dozen of them at this point. So
that's awesome.
They're pretty good.
So how's the process?
Maybe not that many, but a couple of them.
So what did you do? You submitted like a demo, right? And then they called you up, and then you talked to the casting director, and you kind of just went from there. And
well, it's actually an interesting sequence of events. So in 2013, I did this thing called Colorado You Got Talent in Colorado Springs, which is kind of a knockoff little scammy thing.
Yeah.
But I took third, and they said I got an America's Got Talent audition because I took third.
Oh, nice.
So basically, they just did the paperwork for an open audition in Denver for me. I could have done it myself. I didn't really win anything. So I went and I did it, and it was really awkward. This is 2013. There was one lady in a big old empty room, and I didn't know what I was walking into when I did that audition.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, go. And what I should have done is come in character and just had a ball, but I didn't know what I was walking into, and I didn't have the balls at that time because I was new at comedy to just say, well, heck with what they think. I'm going to do my thing and blow their mind and then get out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't know to do that. I was newer at it. I was like, okay, it's time to perform. Well, here I am. All right. Did you like that? That's not what they wanted. So that didn't work out. Well, I got a call from a casting guy in 2014 or 15 for AGT, different guy. And he liked what I had, but he wanted me to do a video for him. And I just sent him, because I didn't really think it was going anywhere. I just sent him one of my YouTube videos where I was doing an adult set. And of course they want GG rated.
Yeah.
And so he never got back to me. So I just forgot all about it. 2018 rolls around. There was this thing called Comedy Chow, run by a number of excellent cats in LA, right in Hollywood there. Oh, hold on a second. Got a phone call.
Oh.
And they ran on Wednesdays. They had an open mic. And I went home for the holidays 2017-18, and they were going to do a special open mic on Tuesday. And the special open mic was the casting gal for AGT was going to be there. She wanted to see
comedians give 2 minutes of their hottest G-rated, network clean stuff.
Okay.
So that was the first or second mic I did coming back from Christmas holiday in Wyoming. And Steven, his last name isn't Chow. I can't remember his last name now, but Holloman? I think, yeah, Steve Holloman. He was running it. He's a funny dude. He's brilliant with the puns. He's a family guy. And he was like the big guy behind Comedy Chow. And there's a bunch of other guys out there, too, that are great cats. And he actually wanted the gal to see me because he'd seen my stuff doing the open mic there on the Wednesdays normally. And I didn't know that till months, maybe years afterward.
Yeah.
But he put me up first, and I never take the bullet because I'm used to being, they do this thing where it's a lottery and they just pull a name.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I'd be first. Only show I've ever been first in one of those lotteries.
Wow.
A fellow by the name of Mikey McKiernan took the spot for me because he could just jump on. I had to throw my accordion on. I can do it in about 40 seconds. Anyway, so Mikey took the bullet, then I went up there and did it, and she loved my stuff. And they had me send in another video. So I went with, I got a tripod, and I recorded a video of me doing my act in an alleyway. And a car drove by while I did it, and I commented on it. And apparently that's what they liked, is that I was in the moment.
Yeah.
So then they had me come to the Pasadena Convention Center, and I just stayed in character. That was the advice I got. It's good advice. I just stayed in character and went in to the audition guy. And he loved it and laughed. He was an Irish dude. And he sent me off to a group of 3 with cameras. And I just did the same thing. And then they just had me sit around all day for some pickup shots.
Yeah.
And then they called me about a week or 2 later and said they'd have me do the live audition in front of the judges. And apparently I was supposed to go on and do another performance, but I think I messed up in the order of my bits or something because they said, "Nah, we're not going to let you do the next round." No big deal. It was good. It was all a win for me. Even if I hadn't made it in, it was a win for me. So, I got to get some exposure. It was fun.
What a process, though, huh? It's not as easy as you think. You think the way they make you appear to be as if you show up to the tryout at the city and you go say Boston or LA and you show up to convention center, you sign your name up, and then they call you and you go, and that's it. I mean, that's the way they I guess they perceive it to be. But you just described it's very complex. I mean, it requires a lot of work
because they keep looking for people. They want to make sure you have a lot of good people show up, and you have to show up that the best of a group of 1,000 may not do your show any favors. So they sort of they make sure and protect their investment by assuring they get folks that they can at least be entertaining with. Yeah.
And again, it's a show. They're going to make money. Exactly. So it's they're casting a reality show that's
a guy like me, I wasn't even supposed to get them to turn their exes around. A guy like me, what I'm there for is comic relief between like some magician or dancer or singer. I'm a palate cleanser. I'm ginger. I'm into it. Hey, ginger's nice. Got to have it between the sushi.
But it works for you, though, because you just gave you all this free airtime that you were just using to help, put yourself out there. It actually works out good. Actually, I think that's probably better sometimes.
It was a godsend. Yeah, no, I've got no complaints. It's just interesting to see how the industry looks from another angle. But, there are people who come and show up in those long lines for there's 1,000 people in line.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's a few that do advance.
Okay.
Because I went there on the day when they were doing that. It's just because they'd already found me elsewhere. I didn't have to show up at 5 a.m, But they do it. Apparently there are some that make it. I don't know. The live auditions are it's several hundred are the ones who go before the judges, and then they build the first, I guess, 25% of the season out of those auditions.
Makes sense.
And then there's the second round, and the third round is where you have all the interviews.
Yeah, they start knocking it down. I was wondering that too, because I tried out for Real World back in 2008. They had a open audition in Boston, and so you show up. It's down this the shopping area in Boston, and we show up, and what you got to do is you get there, you sign the paperwork, and you're pretty much signing your life away and everything that they own you and stuff. And then you wait in this line, and it was a wavy line. There was probably maybe 200 people there. And then they take you in groups of 10. And then, I went with 9 other people, and we sat in a round table type thing. And they had a casting director there. And what he would do is you'd go and, for real quick, say something about you that's unique about yourself. Boom, boom. You get 10 seconds, and you're going around the room. And then he sits there, and he asks you another question. He goes the other way. And then he'll take 5 of those people, and they'll go to the next room. So I went to the next room. and then sitting there, so I'm with 5 other people, and they kind of mix up the groups a little bit, so you don't have the same people and stuff like this. Then they ask you a couple more questions, then they're like, okay, and then you go, and that's it. You don't know if we'll call you if we you advance the next round. And it was funny because it was such a weird situation because people would submit videos, and every time you see these shows, you always see like their casting videos, like they submitted videos and stuff. It's like, oh, so the video is the way to do it because that way people have an idea to look at something rather than 200 people all getting like diluted all at once. Like, how are you gonna remember that person? You got to really do something unique to stick out. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But it's just yeah. I can't imagine judges being able to. I mean, that's not 200 people in a day or so. It's like, damn, that's a lot.
Well,
of fun,
they take a week or two to do that. All those hundreds.
That's still
like what they'll do is,
Yeah, it's like a Monday through Friday of 14-hour days.
Yeah,
is what it ends up being. It is work. I mean,
yeah.
The thing about the film industry, it's a weird state of affairs, because on the one hand, you have a conglomeration of egotistic, shallow cheese weasels sleazing around doing all manner of underhanded shenanigans.
Yep.
And then on the other hand, you have people that are some of the hardest working. We're talking on level of ranch hands.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I've worked. I'm not saying I know agriculture well, but out in Wyoming, I've rubbed elbows with it, and those guys work hard.
Mm-hmm.
They work long hours. It's dangerous. They put their health at risk. They're tough. With the movie industry, especially with the crew, you're talking about sometimes you'll have months, 18-hour days in rough conditions.
Yeah.
And then there's actors that really do go through. Extras probably have a lot more pain than like A-listers, because A-listers have a trailer they can just go chill in.
Yeah,
Extras will be
stand there.
for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real. You'll be there for like 10 hours. You can't move. There's all those snacks you can eat, and every now and again you can go off behind one of the trailers and get a little lit if you want.
Yeah.
You shouldn't, but you can.
Yeah, right.
But it's very, it is weird. You'll be out in 100 degrees for 10 hours just standing there.
Wow.
And they keep resetting the shot, or you'll be in a set or something. So it is actually pretty hard work. So it's very weird, because like you have your total poodles, and then you have your Rottweilers, and they're right on the same set.
Tom Cruise is in his IV, or Will Smith. You see that IV he has. He goes in there. It's like having a luxury condominium on the site with him. He goes there, takes a nap, catches up on stuff, does an interview of Ellen, then he goes out there and does it. And meanwhile, everyone who's just doing extra work's out there like a bunch of slaves, like hanging out in like that, the tundra, like he can't go anywhere. Sleeping, Jesus.
Yeah, and you'll do stuff. You'll work for $200 a day. We're doing some funky choreography for a music video, and you'll burn like 2,000 calories. Learning the steps, dancing the steps. And there's people there who are not in good shape.
Oh, I bet.
And,
sure.
This is not what they expected they'd be doing. And it's a lot of fun. I love that kind of work. I just wish that people would allow the work to be the work and allow it to be artistic, and people could hang up all of this political BS for a while. Let's go back to the 80s and do another Predator film. Where's the politics in that?
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Some good movies.
That's what I'm talking about. I want to see another License to Kill, for fuck's sake. They made flammable cocaine in that movie just so that they could make flammable cocaine. That is the best James Bond movie there is. It's true, man. I tell you what. They said what happens when you mix cocaine and James Bond in the 80s said License to Kill. They even spelled it with 2 C's so that they let the viewer know. This is British.
Yeah.
It's the most American movie you're ever going to see, but this is a British movie. We spelled License with 2 C's. This is English as hell.
Awesome, man. All right, Kevin, we're getting close to the end. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you, where they can look up and find some of your material? Where are you going to be?
Man, that went quick.
That was a quick hour. I know. Nice hour.
I talk too much. I'm sorry.
No, sometimes.
What's wrong with that? Hey, it makes our lives easier.
Sometimes when people own it, it's like I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, wow, it feels like it's been like 2 hours.
Sometimes it is like trying to get blood out of a stone.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You have. Well, I want you back because I want.
Yeah, you're awesome.
We want to bring you back because I want to talk to you more about the whole mask thing. I want to go in a whole nother wormhole stuff with you.
Guys, we can go Alex Jones on this. We can go right away. We can go down that rabbit hole, and we can fuck that bunny. I'm telling you what, we go all the way down that rabbit hole. You won't even know. We'll drop kick that bunny into the twilight. It'll be a lot of fun.
That's why.
All right, so I'm Kevin Bennett, aka French Accent. My YouTube page, if you just look up French Accent AGT, that's America's Got Talent. It'll bring up
my AGT audition. And then in the suggestions, it'll have my YouTube page. But Kevin Bennett's me. That's the name of my page. On Drupal.com, under Kevin Bennett, I've got over 100 songs. One or two of them are funny. Most of them I'm actually trying to do something artistic, so it just comes off really, really. Some of it's pretty cringe. Some of it's actually all right. I would say I did good on some of those things. I don't know if it's going to be anybody's cup of tea. I'm playing all the cards I got. I got 2 books out. One's called Amphibian. It's on Amazon.com. It's a sci-fi thing. The other's called The Thief, The Sacrifice. It's no longer in print, but apparently there's a few copies floating around there somewhere. You can look those up if you want. My comedy album is called I'm From Wyoming, obviously, by French accent. So I'm From Wyoming, obviously. Please buy it. It's online. It's less than $10. It's like an hour and a half of comedy and funky, tripped out music. It's a lot of fun. And Kevin.Bennett.969 on Instagram. Twitter is PianoMan69 at French accent. And then there's my French accent page on Facebook and Kevin Bennett as well. And I got another book coming out here soon called The Library. So keep your eye out for that. Meantime, Friday the 7th here in Gillette, Wyoming, I'll be at the Meadery on Main Street. Show's at 8 o'clock. I believe the door's going to open at 7 or 7:30. So come on out there, get some mead, get some comedy. We got a guy named Skylar Kobe or Roby or something. I don't remember his last name. His name's Skylar. He's from Sioux Falls. He's won the competition out there like 4 times.
Okay.
He's a funny dude. And he'll be opening for me. I'll be headlining. And then the 14th, I will be at a place called The Venue in Denver. I'll be opening for Bag Lady Sue. The 15th, I'll be at a place called Horseshoe Tavern in Casper, Wyoming. And I'll be opening up for him again. And the 19th, I'll be at Chonkla's. That's Jack Slammy show in Las Vegas. So that's – and in June 19th, I'll be in Pueblo on a Pamela Mae Sterner show. I'm not sure. I don't remember the venue there. But that's my upcoming shows. And keep an eye on my social media because I've been working with an entertainment company, Heron Entertainment, this summer. And they do a bunch of little shows all over the country. Not big things, but watch my Facebook. Some of them are actually pretty good sized. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And everything's starting to open up again, so we'll be back to no time.
And even last summer, I went on a little 2-week mini tour. It was supposed to be a bit longer, but there were some artistic differences among the other guys that were on the tour and the booker, and I wasn't driving, so I had to go with the guy who had a car, which sucked. It really sucked because I've never had to do that. I felt bad, but the guy's still working with me, and I really respect him for that. But I went from Wyoming down into Colorado, across Kansas to Missouri, into Illinois, down into Kentucky, and then Arkansas, and then Texas, and then back through Colorado. So we did and you know what? Only 1 or 2 of those places were really crazy about the masks, and they didn't really have it.
Oh,
so
nice.
there are spots.
Yeah.
There's little oases.
Just got to find them.
Yeah. It's good. I guess it's going to be like speakeasies here because they're going to keep they want to keep pushing it through 2022. The braggarts. It's sad.
But Kevin, we're gonna have you back on because we'll talk about the stuff. In a few months we'll see where things at, and if we're still having the same conversation, then we're going to hell. So hopefully we're not. But thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it, man. So we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you for having me. This was wonderful talking to you guys.
Awesome. Take it easy, brother. Have a good night.
You too. Catch you later.
Later, buddy.
Later.
Ooh. Kevin Bennett, everyone. That was not what I expected. Not at all.
Expect?
I expected a super liberal hipster. And it's only because I seen some of his stuff, but I was kind of breezing through it before the show just to do a little show prep. And judging by like what you were describing with the French accent, I was assuming we were gonna get a super left wing, super liberal.
I can see that.
And I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I would really like them to come back on and to go deep into a wormhole because I know you love the wormholes. I do like some wormholes. Yes. We can go deep on some stuff. I think, but also if we didn't catch into it, but yes, Trevor Lawrence did go to Jacksonville.
Oh yeah, some of these picks I'm already. I feel like next week we'll go through the whole first round and who made stupid ideas. Like some of these I'm already disagreeing with. I think some of them are stupid.
So this is where we went so far. Quarterback. We had obviously Lawrence, Wilson, and Lance went. Yeah. And then, so that's interesting. 49ers picked the quarterback up, huh?
Well, that's fine, but like that's kind of a stupid pick to him. And then the Falcons pick a fucking tight end. I don't know why. And then the Bengals pick a wide receiver, which they don't need because they already have a ton of wide receiver, young talent. They should have got the offensive tackle, which was a lot of people thought they were going to get. Give the kids some protection, time to throw more.
Well, do you know what this is? This is just lining up for the Patriots because all these players who are supposed to go, who might end up being there at 15, and we're what? We're on 7.
Mac Jones is the only one left that's like kind of high profile. Like the Lions aren't going to pick him, the Panthers aren't going to pick him, the Broncos aren't going to pick him, the Cowboys aren't going to pick him, the Giants aren't going to pick him, the Eagles. There's a chance that he
could trade up. You know, if I think if the Patriots know that someone's going to get someone that they want, and they're a few picks away, I think they go and pick up. All right.
I said they would probably pick Mac Jones. I said that months ago, if you remember. No one listens to me though.
Miami
he's a Saban guy.
Yes, I thought that makes sense though. If he's there, he might be worth the pick.
Yeah, I would take him.
Because you know what, we need a quarterback, so why not bring a guy in and just let him roll?
He's not going to play this year anyway. So
because Belichick's history of picking wide receivers in the first round isn't too good. He's best at picking defensive players in the first round. So if there's any good defensive players, I guarantee we need a cornerback. We could use a linebacker, right?
Sure.
So if there's something available at that time, I'm sure he'll probably pick it. But I'm sure he has some tricks up his sleeve for later rounds of someone who might be sitting there. So Patriots will pick in about an hour. So stay tuned for that. For a guy, you seem very tired today, Mallet. You know, I had 3 hours of sleep, and I just got a second wind. Now I'm going to be up all night probably. You're probably going to go to sleep right after the show.
Now I'm going to shower and then
go
watch
worn out
YouTube.
today at work. Worn out. With George wore you out today. At least tomorrow's Friday. That's the best thing about today doing the show on a Thursday. That tomorrow's Friday. We don't have 2 more days.
No, I'm just tired. I had, the problem is I only had like 2 beers, so that's enough to make me tired. If I keep drinking, it'll wake me up.
Nope, that's true. It's the one beer could be the worst. It's you either have 6 beers or no beers because one beer will put you to sleep. Like at lunch, we'll go grab a beer. I just want to go to take a nap afterwards. I don't want to be here. So
that's true.
Cool. All right. So you get any potato going on?
I got some editing I'm working on, but nothing for the next couple of weeks. But it'll be up when it's up. You know.
And I'll be this time tomorrow. Actually, this time tomorrow I'll be in my connecting flight, but I'll be in Texas. I'm going to Texas for the day, literally a fucking day, to go see the Sox play. So if you are down in Arlington at the new ballpark, look for me. I'll be there with a screaming child, probably. So there you go. All right, sir. I'll see you later.
All right, buddy. Catch you later, man.
Motherfuckers. All right, Facebook. It's been a pleasure. See you later. Bye.